Hi there. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining in on today's Empower Mindful Athlete program. And today we will be focusing on the topic of myofascial release, the form of a massage, and I call it actually my cheap personal massage. But this is a safe and effective form of therapy in which it treats muscle immobility and pain or soreness by releasing contracted or tensed muscles and fascia. The fascia is like a pillowcase that surrounds the muscle. And so with this, it improves the blood, oxygen, and lymphatic circulation and flow. So again, releasing immobility, which helps to open up a range of motion, which also helps to reduce any risk for injury. So that being said, I'm going to head on back and let us begin. All right, so today, again, as we have talked about last week and from the beginning of this program, the foam roller is something that we will be utilizing today. If you do not have a foam roller, you can utilize a pole or a baseball bat or a baking rolling pin from the kitchen and wrap it in a towel. Anything that's hard in the center and soft on the outside, go ahead and grab that if you haven't at this time. And also a trigger point release. So I like to utilize a ball, a lacrosse ball. If you have a softball, baseball, which is a little bit harder, a tennis ball, sometimes those can break because of the seam, so just be mindful with that. Or you can utilize old recycled paper, wrap it up in electric tape or duct tape to create a trigger point release ball. So last week in our balance session, we focused on releasing from our foundation, the feet, in order to get a good grounding foundation for our balancing postures. If you would like to check that out, it's in week 2, session week 2, recorded and placed up on Heather Sandin YouTube channel. So go ahead and feel free to check that out. So today, instead of utilizing the feet, since we covered that last week, we're going to move up into the lower body, into the calves. So go ahead and grab your foam roller, and we'll start this at the base of our calves, the base of our ankles. Let us allow the feet to just relax and soften. It's very difficult to release tense muscles when they are tense. And we'll continue to talk through as we move. So allow the feet to rest and settle. Starting both calves at a time. Roll your shoulders back, being mindful of the foundation. Lift your heart, engage your navel, as we do in our seated posture poses. And then let us just simply lift the hips up off of the earth. So over time, we might get a little tired in the arms. We can always sit down, maybe rise to our fists, or bring blocks or cushions over to lift ourselves up. When we lift ourselves up, it allows more pressure to be placed onto the muscles. As we allow this pressure and gravity to push down, then we can begin to roll slowly, slower than we want to go, up the calves. Let us roll the feet to one side, hitting more of the outside of the calves, and then slowly to the opposite side. So throughout our foam rolling or our myofascial release session, we are looking for spaces, exploring our body for any space that feels a little tense. Anything that might feel a little bit uncomfortable. And that's actually where we want to stay. And just pause there and hold it, breathe through it. Returning to our breath always as a tool. And again, at any time, just go ahead and take a seat onto the floor. You see this a little bit more from the side. Also, when we find a spot that's a little tense, maybe on our left or right side, just simply cross one leg over and allow a little bit more pressure to come down on top of the muscle. Again, releasing it with your breath, relaxing and allowing that tension to slowly subside. So today's focus on the lower body, just moving nice and slow. And slowly making our way up to the middle of the calves. And feeling and exploring any areas of tension. Some might be in the middle, on the outside, or the inside. Just inviting that release. Slowly making your way to the top of the calves. So everybody's body is different, and I might be tense and sore in some space, and you might be into another. So again, why it's so important to connect with your own being, mindful of your own body. To find the places that might need a little bit more nourishment, more attention. Once we've arrived at the tops of the calves, being mindful not to go underneath of the knees directly due to all of, we have a little bursa sacs that are also in the joints that we want to be mindful of, and different little veins and nerves that come together that we don't, pinch or pop or create any damage to. So mindful to not go directly under the knee joints, but just on top of the muscle there. But once we arrive, we're going to slowly make our way back to the ankles. So again, just breathing through, slower than maybe we want to go. Just making our way back down. Inviting this release. And then once we arrive at the bottom, I invite you to roll back up one more time, finding that space, that area that was the most tense. And just pausing there. We'll pause there for about 30 seconds to a minute. So returning back to that space of the most tension. For me, it's about midway up on the outsides of my calves. So I'll turn both feet outward, hitting both of the external area. Outside of my calves. And just make a little bit of a roll forward and back to reduce that knot, that muscle tension. holding it, breathing through it for a few more seconds. And then in your time, slowly again rolling up towards the tops of the calves. And arriving there. Let us manually move the foam roller around above the knees, bringing the roller to the bases of the hamstrings. So our hamstrings are really thick, big, complex muscles, and our quadriceps. So once we arrive here, oftentimes it's difficult to relax the feet. So just really be mindful of your feet staying relaxed the whole time. Again, prepare your foundation, so hands or fists or up on blocks. Engage the navel, lift the hips. Allow the feet to settle, the legs to be relaxed, and then begin to walk yourself with your hands forward, just pushing the feet away from you. Allow the legs to be relaxed. And again, just exploring the area of your hamstrings, the back of your legs. And I invite you as well throughout this session, if you have comments or any questions, please go ahead and put them in the section, the comment section there. And I will be happy to address them after our session, throughout our time together, to share with you anything specifically that you may feel for you, any questions or any certain feels that you come across in this exploration. Certainly happy to do so. So again, just like the lower part of the legs and our upper legs, we're just exploring. Slowly, mindfully moving upwards. And then perhaps pausing, rotating to one side and the other. Getting both outsides and the inside parts of our hamstring, the complexity of these muscle fibers. And slowly, mindfully, making our way to one side and the other. First round is more just really kind of getting to know the spaces. Maybe this is our first time, or maybe we are a veteran. So let's just be mindful, taking your time, exploring, because every day, after every workout or non-workout, every day we're going to feel a little different. So what do we feel today? Part of that mindfulness, that awareness of our present moment. So making ourselves all the way up to the base of our bum, where the hamstrings connect with our glutes. And slowly rolling up, maybe even a little bit onto the glutes. With this new information at the back of our legs, let us slowly make our way back down towards the knees. Again, slower than we may want to go, keeping the legs nice and relaxed, taking a break on the arms whenever you may need. Usually the outsides of my legs are a little bit more sensitive. We have a tendon, our iliotibial band, our IT band, that runs from our lower back, surrounding the hip and down the leg, wrapped around to the knee, that can create a little tension to hold or even become adhesive to our muscles, our quadriceps and our hamstrings. So sometimes for me, that area gets really, really tense and tight. Again, if I've had many workouts without doing this, or if I've been more inactive and sitting more longer than I usually do, those areas can get a little stuck. So just exploring as you make your way back down towards the knees. Side view there for you. So let us do this one more time, all the way up to the glute. And this time we'll pause at our most tense spaces. So here on my left side, I have a little knot, so maybe I can take my right leg and cross it over. Ooh, to add a little more tension. Hello. Ooh. Just giving it a love, a little rocking side to side. Release. Remembering our breaths, big deep breaths, increasing our oxygen intake, which also supports this release by providing more healthy oxygen into the body. And then the release of that carbon dioxide, allowing that release of any tension or anything. Ooh, making my way a little bit higher up. Extra attention and slowly making our way to the glutes, maybe taking a little stretch with a little pressure of the foam roller on the hamstring. And again, just sharing a few tools with you, not to stay here this whole time, but I invite you to explore and continue to work on those spaces that you find need a little bit more nourishment. So once we do the outsides of the legs, I'm going to go ahead and come to the front of the legs here. So we'll kind of flip back and forth. So allow your legs to come long behind you. And again, we'll start down at the bases of our knees, just above your kneecap. And then allow the arms to come down into a plank. We can give our wrists a little rest, being still mindful of our foundation. The elbow is underneath of the shoulders, the navel is engaged, protecting the belly. And then relaxing the legs to be long. If at any time it feels better to rise up, just be mindful of your low back. If at any time we need to pause and just take a rest back, go ahead and do so. So with the foam roller just above the kneecaps. We're just going to army crawl and walk ourselves a little bit forward and a little bit back. So the foam roller will be moving up towards your hips. Again, slower than maybe we want to go. Breathing through those tense spaces. Adjust myself here in my long body. So slowly army crawl, like we're going in reverse direction. Allow the foam roller to creep up towards the hips. Again, exploring this area. Maybe we shift a little side to side. So sometimes I like to put one hand up and lift myself up to get more of the inner side on one leg and the outer on the other. Exploring that area and then shifting maybe the other way, pressing my body up to get the inner and the outer on the opposite side. And maybe we find some little knots, little balls of tension or pain that we can breathe through and continue this release. So once we get all the way to the hips, I like to take a pause, kind of rock a little side to side, allow my feet to rotate inward towards each other. And this time, I can get a little bit more on the outsides of my thighs again. So feet turn inward, lift up, shift and shimmy. When you're ready, engage your navel and then rolling up. Now you'll feel the outer edges of our quadriceps. We're slowly making our way. Breathing through it. Maybe again a little rock side to side. It's quite interesting when you feel those knots. Just kind of moving around underneath a few and just breathing through it with deep breaths. Finding those tense areas. And a little bit more nourishment. Breathe through it until you make it all the way back down to the bases of the quads just above the kneecaps. Again, being mindful not to go over the kneecaps. And then on our last time up, allow yourself to pause, or our last time together in this video, allow yourself to pause in the space that is most tense for you. So for me, again, it's about midway up my quad. About midway up my quad. And a little bit more to the outer edges. I'm going to take some moments to breathe and release here. So again, foam rolling. So here what we're doing, this foam rolling is a form of myofascial release. This application of pressure helps to eliminate or reduce to eventually eliminate scar tissue and soft tissue adhesion. So again, when I was telling you about the sides being a little stuck together, sometimes they just, haven't had that mobility and that release. So doing this more frequently helps to eliminate that scar tissue and soft tissue adhesion by freeing up this fascia. Again, the fascia is that pillowcase that surrounds the muscle. Okay, so breathe through that. Slowly make your way to your hips. Take a moment to pause. Sometimes it feels good to rest the head. Sometimes it feels good to shift back into child pose or embryo pose, releasing the head to the ground or towards it and just taking a moment to pause. So moving onward, we did the hamstrings, the quadriceps, the really large muscles. Now let's get a little bit more into our stabilizers and supportive muscles on our back, our glutes, and on the abductors and adductor side. So we will take the foam roller and place it the length of our body, so right next to us. And then we're going to lay our body down next to it, lift one leg up and place it over top of the foam roller. Press the front away from you so it creates a little bit of an angle. The base is towards your body, the top is away. So we create this angle. We can then again turn the body to face the ground as if we were army crawling again. And then allow the body just to rest down. Again, sometimes I like to bring my chest and my head down and just breathe and pause. So we're going to be working through the adductor, the inner thigh muscle. So here, allow your working leg to actually be resting. No work. And allow the back leg and your upper body to help you do the movement that you need. So lifting ourselves up and pressing, walking to the side. And then again, we can rest our body down, allow gravity and pressure to release. And breathing through. And slowly making your way up to your groin, to the inner thigh, where the thigh meets the hips. First round, we just explore. And say, oh, really tense there, or not too much. Becoming familiar with where we are today. Breathing through, slowly making your way back down towards the knee. Again, allow our foot and our upper leg, the one that we are foam rolling and releasing, allow it to be released, to be soft. Invite in that technique of relaxation, even in spaces that feel a little uneasy. Soften. Awareness of this moment. Maybe even close the eyes to envision this space. Soften. So making it down to the knee, more aware of this particular side. Last time up, just pause on a space that is most tense for you. So here we go, making our way back up again. Breathing through the tense areas. Taking a moment to pause in that space that we may really not want to. Until we make it all the way up to our groin, and let us simply switch sides. To release the opposite side again, lengthwise as our body. Lying on our side, then we place the leg up, turn, push the top away, and then roll our belly and our chest towards the ground. So exploring our opposite side now, from the inner thigh above the knee, all the way up to the hips, breathing into this space. Using our back straight leg to support. And our arms to walk ourselves as this upper leg relaxes. Breathing in, hand out, moving slowly up towards the hips. First round, exploring. Slow, mindful movement. And slowly making our way back down towards the knee. And last time up towards the thigh. Again, this is where we pause in our most tense space. Place where we may not want to pause. Breathe through it, you've got this. Stay connected, embody your whole being. Find that space that's the most tense for you. And release it through your breath, through relaxing into that uneasiness. Softening through any resistance when they come up. Just be aware of the surrounding muscles of your back, your arms, all the way down to your toes. Slowly make your way back up to the inner thigh, the groin. And again, I invite you on your own time to spend more time into these spaces. So now finishing up the adductor, that inner thigh, let us work our way to the outside. So first, Releasing a little bit more of those surrounding muscles around the iliotibial band, our IT band. Let us get into the glutes. So we'll sit on top of the roller and then placing one leg up and over as if we're in our figure 4 stretch. Okay, or just crossing the leg up and over, not completely, but so the knee stays open, hip joint opens. Allow yourself to rock a little side to side. So again, exploration. Maybe it's a little bit higher up into the glute, into the hip area, or maybe it's a little bit lower down towards the hip. And just kind of see where that might be for you. And if you don't feel anything here, this is also where the trigger point release ball can be great. Wherever we feel a certain specific knot or in any of the little joint spaces that might be tougher to get a foam roller in, or you can even unwrap your baking rolling pin and utilize that, or bath. But you're going to place that on the ground and then sit on that as well. Again, crossing the leg and allowing it to really get into those spaces and then hold. So this is a deeper release. A little bit more sensitive in certain areas. Can we breathe through it and release? And if it's too intense, just go back to the foam roller. Go back to your towel where you're rolled up recycled paper ball. Honor your individual self. So again, just exploring that area. We'll come back to our most tense spaces. So just being aware there of the glute. And then allow your leg that was crossed to lengthen as we roll onto the side. So you'll feel this little area right above the hip bone and below the, like this crest. And we want to lay on down onto it, and you'll feel this cushy part. Again, stay away from the bone, stay onto the cushy part of where that iliotibial band starts to come down. You can also roll forward into the hip flexor, the front crease of your hip, bringing that back leg in for support. So that front crease of the hip, and then allow the hips to rest and settle. Allow this settle here. Opposite leg can maybe be on top of that leg, in front or behind. This movement of the top leg helps us to again rock side to side to allow and invite opening spaces into the hip. Great if there's a lot of sitting. Great if there is a lot of action and hiking or climbing hills or whatever our hip joint, and we utilize it a lot. It's what helps move our legs. So this space can get really tense, and oftentimes we don't give it the love and attention that it needs. And again, if you don't feel it so much, welcome to use something deeper, harder, smaller that really gets into those spaces. And again, rolling side to side, opening up and releasing that tension, allowing blood flow and ease to enter. Okay, so once we've had a couple moments there, let's continue to explore. So bringing this top leg, free leg over top, we're gonna turn our body slightly towards the ground. And then we'll roll down. So it's going to be about our, right on the outside of our quadriceps. So again, on that side of the leg where I showed you runs down our iliotibial band, we want to go right around that side. So breathing through it as you work your way down. Again, keep your navel engaged, protect your back and your core as you move your body, supporting leg, arms for support, and our releasing leg, just let it be relaxed. Let the toes relax, everything relax. And just work your way down to your knee joint. Again, not going over the knee joint, but just above it. For now, we're just exploring that area. So just breathe through and just feel where there's maybe some tense spaces. Maybe we roll over a big knot and can feel it like a bloop, a little ball that we roll over. Maybe we can rock a little side to side, forward and back, to feel the back side more towards the hamstring, or the front side more towards the quad. Quadriceps, feeling release, breathing, exploring down, and then making your way slowly back up to the hip joint. And again, we can rise to our arms if that feels good. You can take a moment to pause and rest onto your belly and your chest if that feels good. But make the way all the way back up to the hip joint. And once we arrive, this next time down and up, we are going to stay at the part where we might not want to stay. Breathe through it. Allow and invite in this softening, this release. So as we breathe through this release, we'll talk a little bit to help. Maybe pass a little time once we find those spaces of tension. So for me, it's here. So our fascia. What is our fascia? The pillowcase around the muscle. Often through times and dehydration and not releasing in this manual way, they get really tense and tightened and prevent mobility. Increases scar tissue, increases this hardening of our tissues, decreases mobility, increases pain. What else is fascia? Fascia actually holds a lot of little neurons and nerves that send messages. So oftentimes when our muscles are contracted and overworked and overused without this release, I often describe it to my clients and my athletes as like, it's hamburger meat. Usually if you buy like ground hamburger meat, it has these like lines that are long and straight, right? And when you take this meat, our meat, and you work it, and roll it up, and it gets all mangled. So this is what our muscles can look like. And then the fascia around it holds all of this mangled up meat in place and can tense and tighten it. So it is not allowing the delivery of messages to our muscles to work effectively, efficiently, rapidly. And with any athletes or sports or any of us that, are no longer playing or don't, have in that activity, even if it's, something like we need a quick reaction to get out of the way of somebody moving or a car moving, or it's icy out and we go to slip when we need to react to save ourselves in that balance. Helping our muscles be able to communicate effectively, these nerves, these neurons to communicate effectively to our body, our physical body. This release aids with that. So it's so much more than just rolling around on a little foam, right? It's taking care of our mind, our body connection. that awareness. So I hope that talking helped, pass a little time through those tense spaces and where you were. So after we've made it down to the knee, let us go ahead and roll over, hop up, and we're going to do the opposite side. What we do to one side, we must do to the other. So let us hop on up, grab a seat, cross our opposite leg up and over, figure 4, and rock a little side to side, keeping our foot flexed to protect our knee. We can always walk our straight leg further away if that's more accessible for you to lift up. And if we don't feel it so much on the foam roller, again, we can utilize myofascial release ball, more of our trigger point release, getting into specific deep spaces. And breathing through these deeper layers that may be more tense than we may realize sometimes. Again, every day is different. Just exploring the areas of the hip. Making our way to lengthen that opposite leg, rolling onto the side, into that hip flexor. And again, if this trigger point ball becomes too much, utilizing your roller. Forward and back. Sweet little. Forward and back. And slowly, again, mindfully making your way down the leg. Maybe slower than you want to go. You keep going, breathing through. Rolling. As the first round again is simply that exploration, just making your way down towards your knee, maybe pausing at a moment to shift your hips more forward and back. Certain areas, seeing what and where may need a little bit more nourishment for you. Making your way down to the knee. Adjusting however you may feel to be adjusted, rising yourself up or taking a moment to pause on your chest and your belly. Once you make your way to the knee, we're going to work our way back up. So again, great to have this flow moving up towards the heart to also help circulate and cleanse. for renewed, fresh blood. Slow, mindful movements, and take this pause in a space that is calling for a little bit more attention. So taking a moment in this area or areas to breathe through, pausing there in space that is tense, tight. Maybe you can actually feel the ball or the knot. Just pause there. Again, if you need a little more, use that trigger point release ball. If you need a little less, use the rolled up towel or a roller. And just hang out. Maybe doing this on your own at home, or whether you are in an office or at the athletic field or an arena, you can utilize, they have different size rollers. I also have a travel one that I take with me. It fits easier in my bag. This is more of my at-home, larger, full size. But with that, you can, take it with you and utilize it, and maybe put on some music or something that helps you to release. Maybe just tune in with your breath, inhaling and exhaling deeply, softening, relaxing and releasing into these spaces. And then slowly making your way all the way back up to the hips. And release. Let's take a moment to shift our body up and back. Sitting into a child's pose or embryo pose with our knees nice close together. We allow the hips, the back to be supported, softening. Relaxed hands come next to your hips. Take a moment to pause. If we wish to go into child's pose, then our knees come really wide, feet come together. Press yourself down and back so the hips can sink in between the thighs a little more. Wherever you are, invite your head to be supported, whether it's on hands, whether it's on a block, a cushion, a pillow, or whether we can settle onto the surface beneath you. Taking those couple moments to settle in. Breathe in. Again, as we were focused on our lower body today, just take just a moment to help invite this blood and oxygen and lymphatic circulation to continue to help treat and heal that immobility and pain or soreness. And we'll lift our hips up and place it on a block, a cushion, and doing the legs up the wall. Maybe we just place our bum against the wall and lift the legs up, or onto a chair, wherever you are. Let us take this moment to lengthen the legs. raising them up to the sky, to the ceiling. Maybe taking a couple ankle rolls. Snap, crack, pop. And allow this moment of relaxation, maybe reflection time on where from the feet to the ankles, through the calves. We're a little tense. Inviting nourishment with breath in these specific areas. Maybe feeling connected and feeling the heartbeat even into our feet. Okay. Allowing the blood to flow into an opposite direction. Again, circulating. To cleanse the blood through the heart to be renewed and refreshed. Recycled back into our being. Exploring the thighs, the front and the backs of the thighs. Then where might have been a little bit more tense, maybe we had a knot or two or six. That we can breathe into and just envision, maybe close the eyes and imagine this release, this melting of that tension, of that built up scar tissue. With our legs up in this waterfall shape. Again, we invite in this cleansing. It's great to do about 10 to 20 minutes of this daily. Inviting in this blood flow and circulation, as well as the blood going to the brain to nourish our brain, helping focus, concentration. Also helpful to help ground down, release. Again, let us maybe wiggle the ankles and the feet. Maybe we can start to feel the legs become almost numb or less heavy. Maybe we begin to wiggle the legs and kick the legs. I invite you to bring your knees into your chest. Maybe give yourself a nice big hug, rock a little side to side. Always good to take and make the time to stretch as well after a myofascial release session, to help and invite the lengthening back into your muscles. So I invite you to maybe take some more time for yourself today to do so. If not now, then later, and utilizing various directions. To open up the spaces. And as always, returning to your breath. Connection. For ease and release. For now, I invite you to return to a comfortable seated shape, whatever that looks like for you, onto the sit bones, perhaps onto a cushion or a pillow or a block. Maybe it's seated on the knees. Just take this moment to close your eyes, settle in, inviting the legs to soften and release from the tips of the toes up through the lower part of your legs to the upper part, the front of the thighs, the backs of the thighs. Space in the area of your hips, front of the hips, back of the hips, and the low back to soften. Settling into the sit bones. Inviting one vertebrae to stack on top of the other. Shoulders softening away from your ears, finding this length. Back of your neck as your chin slightly tucks. Rising up through the top of your head, the crown of your head. Embodying this root through the sit bones, the rise to the crown of your head. This easy pose, this easy seat. With this new awareness, the invitation of these tools and creativity of the tools that we can utilize at home or anywhere to help provide this release. And as we focus on the lower body today, maybe we just take this moment to witness any feels, any shifts in our lower body. What came up throughout our exploration. Simply become more mindful of our own being. Let us bring our hands together at heart center, gently bowing your head towards your fingertips in Anjali Mudra, prayer mudra. Again, sending gratitude, compassion, and nourishment to yourself for making and taking this time to empower your inner athlete, your mindfulness, your whole being. I invite you to take a big, deep, intentional inhale in and an open mouth, intentional exhale out. Your eyes are sealed. Maybe we rub the hands together, creating a little bit of heat. Place them over tops of your eyes, gently blinking them back open to where you are in the here and now. And the space surrounding you, and me in front of you. Thank you for joining today again on our Empower Mindful Athlete program. And again, this week was our myofascial focus on the lower body. Join us next week for a full body workout in which we'll be utilizing our own body weight, We can also utilize various resistance bands. If you have those with you, welcome to do so, just to increase a little bit more of the resistance or tension in our workout. So next week we'll be moving a little bit more quicker while still mindfully and with our full body workout session. And then we'll move into our upper body myofascial release. So stay tuned in. Remember to leave me messages, comments, connect with me so I can completely help you further directly on your specific journey to empower yourself, your well-being, your whole being. And thank you again so much for joining. Have a beautiful, beautiful, empowered day.